Hello, hello.
Hi,
Hi
everyone.
there. Good morning,
Morning.
everybody, on this Monday morning after a full moon and Halloween and time change. Oh my goodness. It all came at once. I think we all survived. Barely, right? Wow, great to see everyone. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Some familiar faces and maybe even a new one or two. So, hello. I'm so glad you made it this morning. We might have a few more people joining us, but as we get started, I'll go ahead and introduce myself just in case we haven't met before. So, my name is Shannon Elliott. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I am the manager of our support group leader network, which we call In Sync. So, all of our support group leader programs have that title to it. I also have my colleague with me today. Her name is Trang. She's waving and she's helping me. Yeah, thanks to Trang for being here. She's helping me with all the back end stuff, which, if you've had any experience on Zoom, you know that it's helpful to have a teammate when it comes to running a meeting. So thank you to Trang. She's a whiz at computers and tech stuff as well. So she helps me a lot. I'm really glad that she's here. As we get started, I thought that we could go ahead and rename ourselves. So this is just a way for us to keep learning skills and a way for us to know where we're all coming from. So what I'd like you to do, depending on, hopefully most of you are on a regular computer, a desktop or a laptop. Some of you I see might be on an iPad or a phone. But what you can do is rename yourself if you hover your mouse over your own image. Okay, so you're going to look for the box with your own face in it. And then an ellipsis menu shows up in the top right hand corner. It's three dots. If you click on that, a little menu will pop up and you're looking for rename. And so if you can click on rename, what you can do is put your first name and the city you're in. So I'm going to be putting Shannon in Santa Fe. And so I see Terry's in Chico. Excellent. Paul in Bakersfield, awesome. Good, good. So this just gives us some practice as we learn more about Zoom. So I assume most of us here are support group leaders or potential support group leaders who maybe haven't started a group yet. So for those of you who have your videos on, if you could use your literal hand and say, yes, I'm a support group leader, if you can let me know. And though if you don't have a hand waving, then I know that maybe you're not. Okay, I see. So we have a little bit of a mixed group here, but welcome. I'm so glad that you're here to learn more about Zoom. As we know, we're going to be continuing on for several more months, possibly behind our screens. So let's do the best that we can with this. So I am going to begin today by sharing my PowerPoint with you. I'll give you an idea of what we're going to be learning. And it's going to be a little bit of a different format than we've done in the past, and I'll explain that as we go along. So I am going to share my PowerPoint. All right, so you seeing that, Train? Can I have a thumbs up? Yeah, okay, great. Alrighty, so thank you again for joining us. This is a training for support group leaders or potential support group leaders on the basics of Zoom. And as we might know, Zoom is constantly changing and they're throwing new things our way. So we have to stay on top of it and do the best we can with learning these updates. So for today's agenda, we are going to start with learning how to schedule a support group meeting time on PMD Alliance's Pro Zoom account. Okay, so if you didn't already know that, PMD Alliance offers any support group across the country free access to our Pro Zoom account, which means that you can have a weekly meeting for an hour and a half or if you want to just do it once a month or twice a month, so you get to choose, but we offer that to you. You might know that if you have your own Zoom account and you want a free version, then you can only have 40-minute long meetings. And so this is really helpful so that you can have a full meeting at an hour and a half. So just wanted to start off with that. I'll be teaching you how to go about that. And then from there, we are going to learn the geography of Zoom. So we're going to look at our screens together, and I'm going to show you where things are. I'm a very visual person, so I like to know where all the buttons live. And so it should be very similar for each of our screens. And so we will be doing that in real time together. We're going to learn some basic functions of Zoom, which will help you as you lead your support group meetings online. And then I'll go over a couple of the recent updates to Zoom. The version I have is 5.2.3, so you might be able to check to see which version you have to make sure you have the most up to date. That's helpful. And then we'll get to some Q&A toward the end, so we can make sure and answer your questions. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with figuring out how to schedule your group meeting with us. So we have a special email address. It's insync@pmdalliance.org. And that is where you're going to email both Trang and myself the following information. So this is kind of a very comprehensive list. And oh, bless you. I don't know who that was, but I have bad allergies right now too. So we're going to be asking you for your name, and hopefully you will be able to recruit some co-hosts from your group. As we know with Zoom, it's really challenging to have your eyes and ears on so many different things happening at the same time. So we would invite you to have more people to sign up. And we would love to have your email addresses so that we can be in touch with you. I'm so sorry. You see the allergies I was talking about? And we want to know about your group's location. Where are you located? Does your group have a special name to it? We also love to know the number of members in your group, and that's just for us to know how many people we're reaching with this program. We're going to want to know what time slot you'd like for your meeting each week. And you can use it as often as you wish within your weekly time slot. Some people don't want to meet once a week. They only want to meet once a month or twice a month, something like that, but it's always available for you. And then that weekly time slot is an hour and a half. And that can take place anytime between, we're just recommending 9 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Pacific. So we have plenty of Zoom links available. Is that correct, Trang? So at this point, we don't have any restrictions as far as you can only use this time slot. Maybe it's the same time you used to meet in person. Maybe that will work, or maybe it can change. So that's completely up to you. And then something that's important that we'd like to get back from you in this process is what we call our support group leader agreement. It's an online agreement, and it just sort of outlines our expectations. It really talks about how important it is to keep things confidential with your support groups, and that you shouldn't be recording any of your support groups. The whole point of that is to have a safe space for people to share. And so we just want to lay out all of our expectations and then what we're providing you as well. So this support group leader agreement that we send to you is a PDF document. So it's a PDF that you'll receive via email, and it's a fillable PDF, meaning you can click on the open blanks where I'm asking you for your name, the name of your co-hosts, the city in which you live, that sort of thing. So you can physically type in that information, and then at the very bottom there's a signature line. You can also type that in. You don't have to scan or do anything fancy. If you just type in your name there, we accept that as your signature. Then you're going to save that PDF, and you might name it something different, to your computer. right? And then that way, when you email us with all of this information, you can attach that signed agreement to that email, and that way we get it all at the same time. Trang and I then process that information. Trang's the one on the back end. She's looking at the schedule, and she's going to be confirming with you. She's going to send you a confirmation email, rather. It's going to have your Zoom link for your meeting. It's going to have a passcode, and then it's going to have a host code. So the host code is something that I'll explain in a little bit, but these 3 pieces of information come to you from Trang. The first 2 are the ones you share with your group members, the Zoom link and the passcode, so that they can access the meeting room. And then the host code is something that you keep private for yourself as the host, so that you can have all the controls when you log in. You don't want all of your group members to have that information. So this process has been taking not very much time. So Trang is super quick about that. She gets it right back to you. So you could probably start your group meetings the following week. That's very likely. And then once you do have all this information, this confirmation email from Trang, then you, as a support group leader, you send that information, the Zoom link and passcode, to your members. So then they have the information to join in to that meeting whenever you choose to schedule it. So hopefully that's pretty clear. I don't know if you can see anyone, Trang, who might be raising their hand, so you can unmute yourself if you have any questions about this process.
Doesn't look like anyone has questions. I did have a question in the chat. Shannon, we are sharing the slides after this, is that right?
Yes, so if you have registered for this program today, I have your email address, and so I can make my PowerPoint into a PDF basically, and I can share the slides with you, no problem. Thank you for taking a look at the chat there, Trang. So this is an example of trying to have your eyes on too many things at once. So I'm going to go ahead and close my chat now, and you can let me know if there's anything I need to address. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to share this next slide with you quickly, and then we will go through each of the elements in real time. So let's talk about the geography of Zoom. All the different buttons, where they're located, things like that. And so we can start to familiarize ourselves. So we're going to talk about the mute and unmute button, how to start and stop video, what the participant's pane is and where it's located, how to open it and close it. We'll talk about the chat pane. Some of you have already used chat today, so good job on that. We'll look at reactions. So that's a fun little way to communicate with your group members without them having to say something. They can show their approval or their excitement about something. We're going to show the difference between gallery view and speaker view. How to go to full screen and then escape that full screen with your Zoom window. And then how to resize windows and panes within your Zoom frame so that it is comfortable for you. So you have a little bit of an ability to adjust how things look to you, how many faces you see, how large your participant's pane takes up your screen, that sort of thing. So we're going to go through all of those things. So I am going to stop share now, and what I mentioned before is that today's training is in a little bit of a different format, in that I have the ability, I figured out with the help of Trang and Rebecca on our team, how to show you my Zoom controls. So normally, like, you're looking at your own Zoom controls, and mine, even though I share my screen with you, mine are invisible, which is done on purpose. But for training purposes, this is something that Zoom, one of their updates, that they have allowed people to hit a setting, like click on a box and then share their screen. And then you can actually watch me go around my screen and try to understand the process of working through Zoom. So it's a little bit like it's a little confusing. It's a little meta at times where I'm just like, okay, whose screen am I looking at? So, anytime you have questions, go ahead and feel free to ask. You can use the chat. Trang's going to keep an eye on that, or you can unmute yourself. So I am going to attempt to do this. So I have to click from the back end to make this happen. And let's see here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. All righty. Okay, so I've clicked my magic button. I am going to share my desktop with you. So hopefully you're going to be able to see what I am seeing. All right, so Trang, can you confirm that you are able to see my Zoom controls here?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Okay, so you're going to be able to see your own Zoom controls below mine, but do you see my mouse traveling over this menu bar? So you're looking at mine right now, all right? So I have my little list here next to me, and we're going to look at the geography of Zoom. So looking at my window, I see all of your faces. Do you all see yourselves here too? Okay, so starting in the left, bottom left-hand corner, right over here. So you're going to see this microphone, and it's green, and it's going up and down. And that's because it's sensing my voice. So this is what I click to turn off my speaker, or my microphone rather. So you saw the red line. And so that's the microphone on and off. That's how you mute and unmute yourself. So hopefully you can follow along on your own screen. You can see that option on your screen and see your mute and unmute button. So right next to it, you'll see a video camera. Right now it says stop video. So if I wanted to stop my video, I would click on it, and then you'll notice that my face went away. It's just a picture of me now, and I can start it back up. Okay, so again, that red line is the indicator of saying it's off or not enabled. Yeah, and you can toggle back and forth. So you're welcome to play with that as you want. Okay, everyone doing okay so far? Yeah, you can show me with a wave or a thumbs up. Yeah, that's great. Good, and that's something you can do with your group members as well. Is they can use their hands right next to their faces, and so it's easy to see all at once if everyone's okay. Okay, so we have the participants pane open right now. If you go again to the bottom of my screen, it's here. Your menu bar is going to look, your control bar is going to look a little bit different because I'm a host and you're just a participant. So I have more buttons and options than you do, and that's why I want to share the screen. So here, participants. I see there are 27 of us. If I click on that, on and off, so I'm just going to close it just so you can see if you did not have the participants pane open. This is what a regular Zoom window looks like. Now, if I hover over participants, click on it, do you see how that shows up on the right-hand side? And it's a list of everyone here who's in the meeting. And I can see a lot of people are muted. I can see if people have their video off. And that, again, that's the slashed out. If it's red and slashed, that means it's not enabled. Okay, so that's participants. And then right next to participants is this little chat option. So it's a little bubble, little conversation bubble. And if I click chat, then it shows up underneath my participants list on the right-hand side of my screen. Okay, so you'll notice down here, a lot of us are already using the chat, which is great. You can see me scrolling through lots of comments. So hopefully, Trang, you're able to keep track of stuff if there are things I'm not seeing. But at the very bottom, it says type message here. So if I put my cursor down there and I say, hello, everyone, boom, yes. Or if I want to not send a message for everyone to see, this blue everyone with the little arrow, if I click on that, that's going to pull up this menu of all of the participants in the meeting here. So if I want to go to Trang and I need to send her, because she's my co-host, if I need a little bit of help with something, I could click on Trang. It says to Trang here, and then privately, I know it's a private message, and I could say, hey Trang, la la la, and then I would send that to her. She only gets it, you do not see it. So that's a way to do private chat with folks, okay? Let's see, let's go to reactions. So down here again, I'm moving over to reactions. And it's a little smiley face, and if I click on that, then I have lots of options as far as reacting. So let's say I'm surprised at something. So if you'll notice up at my window, I'm circling it right now, then the little surprise face shows up. So you have the ability, or your group members have the ability to agree with something. They can clap if they're excited about something. Why don't you give that a try, everybody? Look at that. There's a nice heart. Great. So hopefully you're finding that. Nice job. Good. And that eventually will just disappear. I don't know how long it takes. It might be 5 or 10 seconds or something, but it goes away on its own. Alrighty. So from there, I just want to make sure that, so Kelly says I only have 2 emotions, clap and wave. That could possibly be an upgrade or an update. Do you think, Trang? Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't have all the options that Shannon's talking about here, you might want to just see if there's an update for your Zoom. And I think that YouTube is a great resource. So if you want to just Google and YouTube, search for like update Zoom or something, there's lots of great tutorials out there.
Thanks, Trang. David, I see your hand.
I can just tell you, because I have Chromebook, that the Chromebook platform has fewer options in almost all areas, and that is one that's very similar. The 2 responses that the other person mentioned is the same thing I have, only 2.
Interesting. Okay, so sometimes it's your actual device that
Yes.
might restrict your capabilities here. So good to know. Thank you, David. And I'm not that great at knowing all the different kinds of devices, unfortunately. I have my laptop that I use all the time, and so that's really what I know pretty well. So thank you for any tips about those things. Okay, so my next little feature here is the gallery view versus the speaker view. So up in the right-hand corner, I'm circling it up here. It looks like a tic-tac-toe or maybe a Rubik's Cube, and it says view. If I click on that, I have the option to go from speaker view to gallery view. So gallery is what I'm in right now, and that's when it's the Hollywood Squares or Brady Bunch look, and we can see everyone's faces equally. But if I were to go to speaker and click on that, then I'm seeing David, probably just because he's making a little bit of noise, but it's not, that's the thing with speaker is it will jump back and forth to whoever is, how do I want to say, they're stimulating their microphone. I don't know a better word for that, but they're hearing. Zoom is hearing some noise, so it's going to go back and forth. And if I go back to gallery, then I'll see everyone's faces again. So this is a very important button to share with your group members so that they're able to see everyone and see reactions of people. I think that's very important. The next thing I wanted to show you is the full screen option. So right now I'm not in full screen, which means that I can move. Are you seeing this move, Trang? So you can see all the things behind it. So I can move around and click on other windows. I can click on my PowerPoint here. And then come back. So if I go to full screen, then it will take up my entire screen. Okay, so it expands. I can't really access my email or whatever I want to get to. So the way I get out of that is by hitting the escape button on my keyboard, and it takes me out of that full screen mode. And lastly, with the geography of Zoom here, I wanted to share with you the ability to change the size of the panes over here. So if you see my mouse, I'm scrolling back and forth, and you see it goes from an arrow to a different little symbol. And so when it clicks that, or when it turns into that different symbol, I have the ability to drag this back and forth, side to side, to change the size of my view of either the pictures of people or the participants' view pane on the right-hand side, or my chat. So is that clear to everyone? Are you able to try that and see if you can grab it? Sometimes it's a little tricky and you have to practice. Okay, great. Now, you can also do that, and I really like this ability. So you'll see the participants pane is at the top of my screen, and then the chat is below. So I can also pull and drag down the chat to make it smaller. So if I wanted to see more of the names of people, then I can do that. If I don't care about seeing the names, I can pull it up. Okay, so, and you'll see here one new message. I know that something has just come in, so I can scroll down and see that Trang is taking care of a lot of things on the back end. So thank you. And again, just let me know if there's anything I can address to the whole group. All righty, so I am going to move forward on my PowerPoint so I can move to the next thing, which is showing different features. So this was sort of the geography, the basic where things are located. And let's move forward with some features. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I think I need to stop sharing my Zoom controls if I remember right. So I'm going to try to do that. Yes. Is that right, Trang?
Right, yeah, so you
Okay.
have to stop share.
So I'm going to stop share. And then, okay. All right, let me get back to my PowerPoint. Share that with you. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the basic functions of Zoom. We're going to talk about how to join a meeting with a passcode. So those of you who joined this Zoom meeting today, we did not have a passcode for you to get in. We had a waiting room instead. Okay, so we're going to show you a video actually, because I'm not able to show you that in real time, of course. I can't show you how to join a Zoom meeting when we're on a Zoom meeting. So again, it's a little meta. We have to like show a video of it, of that process, which we'll do in a minute. The same thing as a host, if you'll remember back into our process of getting a Pro Zoom meeting link with us, we'll also be sending you a like a host code rather. And so we're going to show you how to claim that host status. And again, that's going to be a video. All right. And then once we do those two things, then I can show you things in real time again. So I can show you how to add co-hosts, how to mute and unmute other people, which is very important sometimes if someone's dog starts barking or the doorbell rings or the phone rings, and then they're worried about taking care of it, but they might forget that they're making noise in the meeting. So you need to know how to shut their microphone off. And that's the same thing with the start and stop video. So sometimes, we've seen those nightmare scenarios where people take their smartphones into the bathroom with them, forget that they're on camera. Yes, so we need to be able to control that and turn someone's video off if necessary. There are lots of different scenarios where it's just good to know how to do that. And then how to remove a participant, just in case, we have a lot of safety mechanisms in place with the passcode and with the waiting room. So hopefully nobody comes into your meeting who shouldn't be there, but there's a way to remove them if necessary. And then I'll show you how to screen share, just the basics of how to screen share. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of that. We can maybe do another training on screen sharing at a different point. So, okay, so now I'm going to stop this share. And I am going to share my web browser with you so we can watch the videos together. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to share my computer sound and optimize my screen share for video clip. And then hopefully you can see my Firefox web browser window here. Is that good? Are we all good? Okay, so I'm going to full screen. And then this, what I'm showing to you now is a video that Trang made for us. Many moons ago, it seems like, oh my gosh, we're going into month 9 of pandemic world. And so she made these videos back in April, I believe, March or April. So this is how to join a password protected meeting. And I will start to play this. Let me know, Trang, if it doesn't work.
Zoom meeting, you're going to want to get the
Shannon,
Zoom
we're
link
on the
from
wrong
your
screen.
meeting invite.
Say again.
We're seeing your email, so we need to click.
Oh, weird. Okay, thank you. Let's try that again.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. It's Monday. That was my email in the video. Such a Monday, right?
It's so confusing. You're like, am I looking at their screen or my screen? It's a video of someone's screen. It's crazy. So we're doing our best, aren't we? I'm going to make this big again and let's try again. All right. So, okay. So this is Trang's video of her computer screen when she made this video. All right. So I'm going to play. Here we go.
Zoom meeting, you're going to want to get the Zoom link from your meeting invite and go ahead and copy and paste that into an internet browser. If you have never run Zoom on your computer before, it will ask you to download and run the Zoom application. So you'll want to go ahead and do that. If you have used Zoom on your computer before, you'll get this pop-up to ask you to open the application, which we'll go ahead and do. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to enter the meeting password. Again, you'll want to copy and paste that from your meeting invite. So we'll go ahead and paste that in and hit join. And now you are in the Zoom meeting where you can then unmute yourself or start your video.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see everyone's faces. Does anyone have any questions about getting into a meeting with a passcode and how to do that?
Yes. Raise your hand.
Yes, Bob, hi.
Hello. What did you copy and paste? I couldn't see it. It was moving too quickly for me. Did you copy the 30 minutes and something else? In the very beginning. In the very beginning?
In the very beginning. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen again and go back to that original email. So to explain, if you are on PMD Alliance's Pro Zoom account that we offer to you for free, and you set all of that up with us, then we are providing you a Zoom meeting link, and that's a hot link. So if you click on it, it'll open up Zoom, right? And so there's a second step that needs to take place, but in that original email that has the Zoom meeting link in it, there's going to be a passcode that is given.
Okay.
First to you as the support group leader, and then that is what you're forwarding to your group members. So they have the link and then they have the passcode. So they need to click the link to open Zoom, and then they can go back to the email invite, copy the password, and then put it into that little pop-up box when it asks for it. Is that clear? Let me show you the visual of that again. Let's see. Okay. So if I were to go back to the beginning, can you all see this pretty well? Okay. So this is the email that pretend that this has been sent to your group members. All right. So what they're going to see first in this email here is this link. So usually it's something you can click on automatically and it'll take you to Zoom. But what Trang did in this is that she copied it, she highlighted it, copied it, and then she went to her, what is that? I'm not sure what browser that is, but it doesn't matter, Firefox or Chrome. And then she's gonna paste that URL in there and enter. And that's how it opens Zoom. Once that happens, then she comes back to the email where the password lives. She copies that and then pastes it into the little box. So I'm gonna just
Going to want
play
to
that
get
again.
the Zoom link from your meeting invite and go ahead and copy and paste that into an internet browser. If you have never run Zoom on your computer before, it will ask you to download and run the Zoom application. So you'll want to go ahead and do that. If you have used Zoom on your computer before, you'll get this pop-up to ask you to open the application, which we'll go ahead and do. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to enter the meeting password. Again, you'll want to copy and paste that from your meeting invite. So we'll go ahead and paste that in and hit join. And now you are in the Zoom meeting where you can then unmute yourself or start your video.
Okay. Is that a little bit better, Bob?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Do I see another hand? Is that Gunter?
Yes, it is.
Hi there.
Hi. What does a host have to do to make it the password required? When I host meetings here, the password is not set, or it's not necessary.
So you have your own Zoom account there, Gunter?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so do you have you must have the waiting room option then. Do you have to keep letting people in, admitting people as they show up?
Yes.
Okay, so those are the two options that Zoom is requiring right now. And I was going to mention that at the updates part of our training today, but we might as well deal with it now since it came up. So we have chosen at PMD Alliance to utilize the passcode option. And if you don't have that enabled, then it's going to automatically force people into a waiting room before they can get into your meeting. And therefore, you have to manually allow or admit people one at a time or all together, whatever it is you do. But that is, I think, security measures that Zoom has put into place. So you have to do one of those two things. So Trang, can you tell us on the back end briefly, because most of us won't be doing that, but for Gunter's purposes, what he needs to do?
Yeah, so for most of you, if you're getting your Zoom link from PMD Alliance, we already set that up so that it'll require a passcode and it'll create that passcode, which we'll share with you. So for most of you, you don't have to worry about this. Gunter, if you're using your own Zoom account, when you go into so you log into zoom.us and then log into your Zoom account. And then when you go into the settings, there's actually a setting where you can have it so all your meetings either require a passcode or the waiting room, like Shannon was mentioning, on a meeting to meeting basis. So when you create a new meeting, you can also, there's like an option to click if you want a passcode or if you want a waiting room. So so you can do it as like a whole thing for your entire account, or you can set it for each meeting individually. So whatever your preference is, but they're all controlled by your settings in your Zoom account.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help? Okay. And Gunter, I'm happy to talk offline with you if you want a little bit more info. I just don't want to take up everyone's time because it's not really applicable to other people, but if you need a little extra help, I can do that with you.
Great, thanks, Trang. Anyone else before we continue on? Okay, so I'm going to share my desktop again with you, and you will be able to hopefully see my Zoom controls again. All right, so are you seeing my controls here, Trang?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. So The next item that I wanted to share with you is how to make someone a co-host. Oh, we didn't do the claim host. I'm so sorry. I need to go back in time. I am jumping ahead. Let me stop my share again. And I'm so sorry. I jumped ahead. We need to learn how to become a host once you get into the room. So I am going to share another video with you. There we go. I have to really think about what I'm doing here. So I'm going to make this big so we can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to hit play. So this is how we
You can take
become
over
a
as
host.
host. The way you do that is you'll want to hover over your screen, and on the bottom here, there's a participants button. Go ahead and click on that, and this will open up a list of all the participants in the meeting. And then at the bottom of that box, you'll see this claim host button. You can go ahead and click on that, and then it will ask you to then put in the host key, which we will provide to you. So go ahead and enter, copy and paste whatever that host key is, and hit the claim host button. And then a pop-up will tell you that you are the host now. You can also see where your name is in the participants list that now you are the host. So you're now the host of the meeting, so you'll have all the hosting capabilities.
Okay, great. Stop share. Okay. I'm going to mute you, Bob. I think someone might be speaking in the background. There we go. Okay, we're back, right? Claim host, that's where we are. So again, the host key, it's like a second password, and that's only for you as the support group leader to know. So when you go into the room, the meeting room, ahead of everybody else, you can claim host, and in that participants list, you'll see your name and that you're a host right next to it. Okay, is that clear for everyone? Yeah? Okay, just go ahead and unmute if you ever have a question. I am going to share my screen again, and you'll be able to see my Zoom controls this time. Okay. So I see Kathy, I'm seeing every other chat, most of them I'm not seeing, but the claim host isn't possible for us right now because we're in my InSync meeting room, okay? Yes, so don't feel like you'll be able to see that now. That's not an option at this point. That's why we have the video, so that you can use that as as to remember, because we can't have you do that in real time and mimic it. Okay, so again, I'm going to share my desktop with you, and hopefully, can you see everyone here? Yes, okay, great. All right. So I want to show you, since I am the host, you see Shannon and Santa Fe, host is me. Trang is already a co-host. You can have more than one co-host per meeting. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. So here's David. If I were to go to David's name and I wanted him to be a co-host, I would come to this More menu and click on it. The drop down shows up, and then I have the option to make him a co-host. Okay. So if I want to make him a co-host, this pop-up shows up for me, and I want to confirm, yes, make a co-host. And so do you see up here at the top that David Cox is now a co-host? So he is automatically going to have more capabilities. He has more functions and tools He's able to mute other people. He can turn off their video, that sort of thing. So the host has the most capabilities. I'm the queen bee here, but Trang has almost all the same things available to her. So you can make as many co-hosts as you want, so that if you needed more help with your meeting and running that. I see Myra waving. If you want to unmute yourself, Myra. There you
Where's the
go.
more menu? Where do
The
you get
more,
to the more?
the more menu. So do you see how I'm over here on the participants
Yeah, I
list?
see that there. Is that out all the time?
So I open the participants list by going to this button at the
On
bottom.
the bottom, yeah.
And so I can hide it or I can bring it up by clicking on the participants. So it's gone away and I only see the chat. And now I clicked on it again and the participants showed up. So if I wanted to make Myra here
Yeah.
a co-host,
right
do you
there.
see if the more menu pops up automatically?
When you just move to the person,
Yes,
to the people.
exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
On karo.
And then I'd click more and then I'd scroll down to make co-host.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay?
Mhm.
All right. Muting and unmuting others. All right, so let's see. If I needed to mute you, Myra, so if you can see my mouse over her face,
Right,
she's
yeah.
currently unmuted because we can hear her. But do you see this mute button here, the blue one? I would just click on that and boom, she is muted. All right, I have the capability to do that over here as well. So let's see, who's not muted? David. So if I wanted David muted, do you see the mute option there? Say the phone rings, I'm like, boop, now he's muted. Pretty clear? Yeah, okay. It's very similar for the video. It's not quite as easily accessible. Let me see if I can. Oh, I see Deborah. Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Yes.
Shannon, first of all, thank you for giving us the PMD Alliance account. I have to tell you, it makes it so much easier directing people to one chat, to one place. The
Yes.
exact numbers really was very confusing in the beginning. So my next question is, well, my question is, when I have people who call in, we're not able to mute them. Is there a way to do that?
So, do you see my mouse here at the bottom? Someone has called in on a 575 number. Do you see that? So
Yes.
they're already muted, but they would have the same option. It's like this mute that I have on your face now, Debbie, right there. So they would have
Okay.
that here. So you do have the ability to mute them.
Okay. Okay. We just probably couldn't get it. It was just too confusing. We listened to them the entire meeting.
Oh, no. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So again, it's just finding where that sound is coming from and then muting them there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Great. Okay. So we were talking about starting and stopping someone else's video. So as the host or co-host, you want that ability just in case of something strange that happens. So I'm going to go to Trang. And I'm just hovering over her face. And so I go to that ellipsis menu and you see this drop down. Stop video. Do you see that right there? So if I click on that, boom, there she disappears and it's her picture, or if it would just be a name, something like that. But that is how you stop someone's video. Okay, let me just see. Let's see if I can. Once I stop someone's video or I mute them, then all I can do as host is request that they turn it back on. Okay, so I can't look inside someone's computer and say, I want to see you right now, and then force that to happen. All I can say is ask to start video. I do that. A little box will come up on her screen, and then she has the option to click on it, and it's easier for her. It's the same thing with muting. So I force muted David. I can ask him to unmute himself, and it's just a little bit of a help, and he'll get a pop-up, and then he can just click on that instead of having to navigate around and try to find that little microphone button. Is that clear? But just know that. So if you ever mute someone, you can't unmute them again. They have to do it themselves. So it's a little bit of a safety. It's understandable, isn't it? Let's see. Anything I'm missing there, Trang?
Yeah, actually, a few people have asked how to mute everyone.
Oh,
If
great.
you have your window open, can you show them the button there?
Yes, good point. So I'm over here as a host. I always want to have the participants pane open. I always want to have the chat open. It's just helpful because you can kind of see everything that's going on. So this little area in between here, do you see this mute all? If I were to click that, boom, everyone's going to be muted. But then I don't believe the unmute all, the reverse will unmute people. Again, people have to unmute themselves. Does that make sense? But that is the magic button for mute all. If it gets crazy, if you can't tell who's making a bunch of noise, you can mute everyone, say, hey, everyone, just muted you. You know, if you want to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself, that sort of thing. Bob, yes, you have to unmute yourself. I'm going to hit this ask to unmute, and then he should get a little pop-up on his window that we can't see. There we go.
If I am showing a presentation, which is a video, which is not the question, but that it's a situation where I'm showing a video and I'm getting feedback during the video because someone is not muted, and I go in and mute everyone, and then we get to the end of the presentation. Do I have to go back in and ask everyone to unmute?
Yes, so you could do that verbally. So say you're finished with the presentation, everyone's been muted because there was background noise, you muted them. So you can say, okay, everyone, I muted you for this reason. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have something to say. You could potentially, should I just go ahead and try it? Let me hit this mute all button and see what happens. So stay unmuted, Bob, for me.
Okay.
I'm going to hit this. So I'm muting all. Do you see mute all current and new participants? But this allow participants to unmute themselves is still an option. Okay, so I'm going to mute all. Boom. Train got muted as well because she's a co-host. I'm the only one who didn't, of course, because I'm the host. So I actually am seeing here that it doesn't say unmute all. There is no option for that. So you need to just verbally say, go ahead and unmute yourself. Or I can scroll and say, Bob, I want you to unmute yourself. So I click the button, he gets a pop-up and he can unmute himself then.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else, Trang, before I keep going? All right, we've talked about how to start or stop video for other people, how to remove a participant. So someone, hopefully this never happens to you. If I see Judy is just getting really obnoxious today, she just has terrible things to say. I'm going to scroll over her face right here. I'm going to go to the ellipsis menu. And if this menu that pops up, remove. You see that remove button? Yep, so you can click remove. It will pop up a second like confirmation. And then if I hit that second confirmation, yes, remove that person, they will then be removed from the meeting and will not be allowed to re-enter during this session. But say you have a meeting next week, same meeting link, same passcode, they will be able to enter again at that point. So it's just a removal from this actual meeting right here. Okay? All righty. So next I have how to screen share. So down at the bottom, the tempting button for everyone to hit as a host, sometimes you just magically start seeing someone's screen and, but it's because this is green, it's right in the center, it's very tempting. So this is how I have been sharing my PowerPoint with you, how I've been sharing my desktop, and you can see my YouTube videos, that sort of thing. So if I click on share screen, you'll see a pop-up come up. So anything that I have open on my computer, whether this is like desktop one, that just means if I share that, you can see anything that's on my desktop, whether that is a private message that comes through or anything like that. So it's not optimal, but right now that's what I need to do in order to give this training. So anything else though that I have open, any other applications? So Firefox is my web browser. So that is open. I have the ability to share that. This is Microsoft PowerPoint. I have the ability to share that. I have my notes here. So I can see all of these possibilities of things that I can share. So Firefox, for instance, Bob mentioned showing a video. If he wanted to show something from YouTube or whatever, he would click on Firefox and then share. And then I think you're seeing this, right? So I'm actually back to the video that we just watched together. Are you seeing that? Yeah, okay. So I am going to stop that share. And I do that do you see my mouse up here at the top, this red button, stop share?
We don't see your controls right now.
Oh, you don't? Okay, interesting. Do you see them now?
You're not sharing right now.
Do you see how it's so confusing?
So unfortunately for Shannon, when she wants to share her Zoom controls, she has to share the whole desktop in order for us to see that.
That's
So
what it
Shannon,
is.
when you switch over to just sharing Firefox, your Zoom controls went away.
Thank you for that reminder. Wow. Okay. So yes, I have to share my desktop. Are you seeing this now? No, you're not seeing. Okay. So I think it just disabled itself, if that makes sense. Okay. So screen sharing. I'm going to make sure that this is activated again. One moment, please. Yes, I'm in the right place. Okay. So I need to share my desktop. Okay, so are we back?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Participants. I lost all my participants. Now they're back. Okay. Got it. Now I'm back to my regular view. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, so any questions on what we just covered? I know it's a lot, but the more you practice, the easier this gets. And, I'm still learning as well, as we can see. Yes, David.
I have something related. Because of the way you have screen shared and we are seeing our own faces, I have become very aware of the delay effect, which I'm normally not aware of. And I can see it's about a 1 second delay. When I do something, I see it about 1 second later on that screen. Is that the same for everybody in these meetings, that we're all experiencing delay, but we don't really realize it most of the time?
I would imagine that is the case, and depending on your bandwidth, it's going to be different for everyone. So Trang, correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone's going to experience some sort of delay just by the nature of what we're doing here through the internet.
Sorry, Shannon. Sorry to cut you off, but
No
also
problem.
keep in mind Shannon's doing something a little bit unusual in that she's sharing her Zoom control. So the delay is greater because she's asking the system to do a lot more. If you're doing just a regular PowerPoint screen share, chances are the delay isn't very noticeable if people have decent bandwidth. But one thing we always recommend is if you do notice that you're sharing your screen and people are telling you there's a huge delay, turn off your video, because sometimes your computer isn't able to handle like everything being open and running at the same time. So sometimes disabling your video will kind of help alleviate that.
And what Trang means by that is, again, going down to the bottom left-hand corner and stopping my video. So that would allow for better audio if necessary. So I'm sure you've experienced presentations with doctors or whatever, and the connection isn't great, sometimes if they go ahead, turn their video off, and so that their computer and the internet doesn't have to worry about the visual, then the voice can come through a little bit better. That's just another trick of the trade. Let's see. What was I going to say? Oh, I just was going to mention, because I teach dance sometimes. Sometimes I'll do movement breaks online. It's interesting because I can see the delay with my students or anyone who's copying or who's following me. And so just having that knowledge that when I am sharing a movement, they might be a second later, because it's getting to them, coming back to me, if you imagine that. That's why it's really difficult to do anything with music or rhythm over a Zoom, because it's almost impossible for everyone to be on the same beat at the exact same time, just because of the transfer of information. That's just something I've learned as a teacher. Yes, David.
Someday technology needs to repair that so we can sing together.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, let's see. One more question, David? Yeah.
Sorry, I keep asking questions.
No problem.
You left me as co-host, and I saw a name pop up in the waiting room. His name is George, and I admitted him. Did I do the right?
Right. So that actually brings me to the recent updates. My next slide that I wanted to share with you. So let's talk about that, and that is the waiting room and the passcode. So those two options that Zoom is giving us right now for security purposes. Let me think about this. As opposed to showing you my PowerPoint slide, I'm just going to explain it verbally, so I don't have to keep sharing and all that stuff, unsharing. So what David mentioned, and if someone else were to come in to this meeting, you would probably be able to see it, which they arrive into the waiting room, and we as hosts or co-hosts have to constantly admit people. And that's a change for us. This is something that makes our NLO programs that we do when we have sometimes 100 people or 200 people on them, as people start filing in maybe a little bit late, we have to keep our eye on that waiting room, and we get a notification someone shown up in the waiting room. You have to actually admit them, and that happens over here in the participants area. So then that participants pane. So say someone else joined us late in this meeting right now, they would show up at the top here in the waiting room, and we would have the ability to admit them. Yes, and there's also a pop-up that shows up toward the top of my screen that says so-and-so has entered, and admit or not kind of thing. So good point on that, but just know that if you do have a waiting room situation, you're going to need to continually admit people if they are late. With our Pro Zoom account, because we have a passcode, you're not going to need to worry about that. If they have the secret password to get in, they can enter that, and they're going to automatically get put into the meeting, and you as a host or co-host don't need to keep admitting people. Is that true, Train? Yeah, okay. All right, so that is one of the updates that we've talked about a few times already, is the requirement for either a passcode or the waiting room. There's also a fun little update that I wanted to share with you. And as we get into holiday season, we just had Halloween. I really think this is a fun one. So it's called video filters. So if I go to the bottom of my screen and I go to where the video camera is, right next to that, you'll see a little caret. And so that indicates that there is a submenu that if I click on it, it's going to pop up here. So what I want to choose here is this video filter option. So if I were to click on that, can you see my settings? Okay, so this is just a fun thing that you can do to make your meetings a little bit more cheerful. So as I scroll through, these are different options that I can click on. So if I wanted to be silly and I wanted to be a bandit, so you're seeing me with like a little video filter, like, and you see Trang, she's got her glasses on. What's another funny one? I mean, there are so many. I like this one because it makes me feel French. We've got 3D eyewear. So this is just something silly you can do with your group members, and they can express themselves a little bit. It's kind of like dressing up, but not having to go through the trouble. Let me see. So this is like a little border, makes it really bright and fun. And so that is one of the updates that just happened. So I see AC. I'm going to close this settings window out. And AC had enabled his background, his virtual background. I don't even think mine works because do you have AC? Can you unmute yourself and let us know? Do you have a PC computer or an Apple? Let's see. I don't think we can hear. There you are.
I have a laptop, and the reason it's not working, you'll see the buffalo behind me, is I don't have a green screen behind me. If I had a
Okay.
green screen, my face would show up in front of the buffalo.
Right. So he has a virtual background and he appears like a ghost, it's still Halloween. So sometimes you need a green screen behind you in order to have it be of better quality. It's another option. I just wanted to share the video filters with you, which is again, here at the bottom, the caret, you choose a video filter and then this pops up. Now say you have, something you've chosen. If you want to go back to your normal look, you need to go back to this none option and then it will take it away. Boom. And then to get rid of this settings window here, I just go to the corner and X out and I get back to my meeting. Okay. One little trick that I can share with you is the use of the space bar. So if you have a regular computer with a keyboard in front of you, if you are currently muted, if you hit the space bar, kind of like on a walkie-talkie, if you want to click the button, blah, 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 talk in it, and then let go, it's the same function. So sometimes it's easier for folks to find that big space bar, hold it down, say what they need to say, release it, and then they're muted again. Okay, so that's just a nice trick. So you can try that for yourself. Yeah.
Before, good, buddy.
Yes. Is that working for everybody? It's a nice
That
one.
feature does not work on Chromebook platform.
Thank you. Okay, so that does not work on Chromebook. Good to know.
I noticed that from when I was unmuted before, I was left in a unmuted stage and I'm kind of out of sync. But I would always use the one which is my bar at the bottom for mute. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, you go down to the bottom left-hand corner, find that little microphone icon,
Okay.
click on that, and that will mute you. You can also go over your own face. If you hover your mouse over your own face, do you see on my face, there's this option to mute? Yes, so mute and unmute on your own. You can also do it from over here. So I'm hovering over my own name. I can mute my or unmute myself. So there are 3 places actually where you can do that. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to share with you before we get to some questions, I was so happy to find these things and they'll change your life. So down here at the bottom, at the left-hand side of your screen, this video button again, the caret is what I want you to go to so that it pulls up this submenu and then video settings. Okay, so I'm just gonna share a few things with you, but as I go through this, you can still see my settings. Is that correct, Trang? Okay, great. So you see my face here. And this is a huge menu. There's so much that's in here that you can play with. I'm just going to scratch the surface. So if you go to the video option, which is highlighted, and then it has all of these things here that I can look at. So you have the ability to mirror my video. I have it enabled because I just prefer to see myself as I normally do if I look in a mirror every day. If I were to uncheck this box, then this is probably what you see of me, but I want to see a mirror image of myself. So if I click on that, then it just makes me more comfortable. And if I had a sign behind me, I would want to be able to see that sign in real writing as opposed to backwards writing. Okay, so that's an option, mirroring. Here, now this will change your life. So touch up my appearance. So if you enable that, you have a little scroll here. So what it does is, I don't know if you remember glamour shots back in the 80s at the mall when you wanted to go to the mall and like look fabulous, and it was like all soft focus and no wrinkles, no blemishes, nothing. So this is the version of Zoom glamour shots. So touch up my appearance. So this is not touched up at all. And then if I scroll all the way to the right, then it just sort of softens all those little angles and makes me feel great. So that's a good one to know. And then the last one I wanted to share with you on this list here is adjust for low light. So I have that enabled. If I were to disable it, and if it were dark in here, it might be a little bit of shadow, so if I want to zoom to automatically fix that low light, I can click on that and you'll see even just a little bit. I have plenty of light, but you can see it that I get highlighted a little bit more and it helps me be seen. And then here you can do it manually. If I were to do it manually, whoa, yeah. So it depends on how bad your lighting is in your room. Or you can just say, fix it for me, Zoom, do it yourself, make me look great. Because as a host, it's really helpful for people to be able to see your facial expressions. And it's the same thing. You want to see your group members as well. That's how we're trying to connect these days, right? We need to see each other. We need to see each other's faces and be able to connect. So lighting is a big deal. Yeah. Okay, so that was my very extensive list of things I wanted to share with you today. We have, let's see, not quite 20 minutes, yeah. So we have plenty of time for some questions. If there's anything you need me to repeat or just something else that you're curious about, Trang is great resource as well. I can go ahead and, well, maybe I'll keep this just in case I need to show you. I don't think it's too laggy, is it? Let's see. Karen says, quickly go over how to send a private message to a participant. Of course. So down here, where it says type message here, normally the default is everyone in meeting, right? So Karen, let me see if I can find you. There you are. Hi there. So down here, this is the default. So a chat message would broadcast to everyone. So if you want to send a private message, you're going to go to this blue little button and you'll see a menu. And so if you click on that, then everyone in the meeting pops up. So let's see. So Karen, I'll say, hi, Karen, privately, and I know it's Karen, and then it says privately in red. So that really helps me know I've just typed it. I'm going to hit enter. So hopefully that got to you and it didn't go to anybody else. Is that helpful?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Shannon, can I add two other things?
Yes.
Little tips about private messaging. You can also hover over the face of the person, and then when those three dots show up, you can choose chat, and it'll automatically update it on the bottom to send private message to that person. Sometimes I like that a little bit more than like Yeah, like if I already see their face on my screen, then that's a quick little way. I think this is a new feature. It looks like when you go down to the chat and click on the arrow, you can actually start typing in like Karen's name and then it'll find her in the list versus like trying to scroll through.
Yeah, so let me see if I wanted to find Candace. So do you see the list here? But send chat to, and there's a blinking, what are those called? I'm such not a techie person. Yeah, it's a cursor, right? It's a cursor. So here, if I wanted to find Candace, if I start to enter her name, it starts to narrow down and then I can see Candace shows up. I click on that and then boom, she ends up in my chat. Okay. Thanks for that, Train. Okay. What else? Any other questions?
Shannon, there's a question in the chat about sharing a PowerPoint and having speakers share their PowerPoint, if you want to go over that.
Sure. So, I feel like I want to do a special training just on sharing PowerPoints. Even I, after however many months this has been, 8 months, I don't do a ton of sharing, but sharing my screen. But I really have to kind of concentrate and think about what I'm doing. Obviously, Trang is like, no, I can't see that now. So sometimes you need a little bit of help from people who are in your meeting who can give you feedback on what they're seeing, because sometimes it's not what you expect. So with sharing a PowerPoint, I am going to, do you see down here at the bottom, do you see my PowerPoint app? Can you see that, Trang?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So this is my PowerPoint app. This obviously is from my slideshow that I created for this training. So I am able to process through my PowerPoint with using my keyboard, my arrows, things like that. So my PowerPoint is currently in a presentation mode. So if I were to hit escape, you're going to be seeing like the back end of my PowerPoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was my first slide. So if I were to click on that, and there are a few ways to do it. You can go to the bottom of your PowerPoint window and you see kind of, it looks almost like a pedestal or like a screen that might pull down for a projector. So you can click on that and then it's going to take it to the official slideshow. All right. So that's how I begin. Before I share, I want to get to this view, if that makes sense. Now, I'm going to go back to looking at you. If I want to share my PowerPoint, I go to this magic green button here, and I open my share screen, and I look to see where my PowerPoint is amongst these options. I click on what I want to share, and then over here in the bottom right corner, if I click that, then hopefully all you're seeing right now is my PowerPoint. Okay, so you're not seeing my desktop anymore. You're seeing a specific application, and that helps with privacy and only showing what I want people to see. So if you can imagine on people's computers, they're going to get all sorts of notifications and emails and things like that. So you don't want to be sharing all that stuff all the time. I'm doing that today just because I want to be able to show you how to use Zoom. And so that requires sharing my desktop. But otherwise, I would want to share just my PowerPoint and take you through so it looks nice and clean to you all. Let's
Shannon,
see.
Shannon,
Yes. Hi, Bob.
hey, I've got my first support group meeting, which I'm going to be trying to use this product Friday.
Nice.
Is that a time frame that's doable to get the paperwork done?
Trang, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's doable. If we can get it, I would say by end of day tomorrow, the paperwork signed, I can get that set up for you. Obviously, you want to give yourself time to get that information out to your group, but I
Right.
think it's doable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently working with a basic program, which has a limit of 40 minutes, which I run out of every time in the group. So this would be a way to actually get a full presentation in without messing around too much, but whatever
Yeah.
we could do would be appreciated.
Absolutely, yes. So that insync@pmdalliance.org email. If you send me an email there, then I can respond back and give you the list of all the things we need, including the attachment of the PDF that we want to have signed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Yes, Gunter.
How do you install a photograph, a picture that comes on when you turn the video off?
Like this, like what I have.
Yes.
Let me think about how I did that. I think it's maybe in general. So I'm going to go to here. Nope, it's not there. Let me think about that.
It's a profile picture.
Profile?
Profile picture.
Yes. So in this menu, this profile option, this is where I would upload. Do you see that, Gunter?
No?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, am I?
No.
Let me share my screen. There we are. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to go to, I like to get to my settings. I go to this bottom camera caret, and then I go to video settings. That pulls up all of these options here on the left. Are you seeing this now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So down here, profile, boom. And then you see my little photo. That option to edit is there. So if I click on that, I can change my picture or add a picture, and then I can adjust it as I would like.
Okay. I got another question.
Sure.
We got bombed in a session a few months ago. I was able to get the guy out, but how did he get in?
So
Well, I would say a few months ago, were you probably weren't using a passcode, I assume, at that point.
That's right. It was by
Yeah.
invitation. Yeah.
Right. So
Wait through the waiting room.
if they were able to get in, but you had the waiting room enabled, so somehow someone must have let them in. So if the waiting room is enabled, that does mean that either a host or a co-host has to physically hit the button to admit them. But a few months ago, you did have the option to do like a mass admit and then turn the waiting room off. So that's not an option anymore with our with pro meetings now with the Zoom updates. If you have the meeting room turned on, it stays on for the entire meeting. So if someone comes in late, they're still stuck in the waiting room. You still have to let them in. A few months ago, I'm guessing what might have happened is that at the start of the meeting, you let everybody in, and then you possibly turned it off so that if people come in late, they can still just get in. So that's one way they could have gotten in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
It was quite an interesting image that the guy presented to us.
oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah. So hopefully with the Zoom updates, although it does add an extra step for all of our users, but hopefully that does prevent situations like that from happening in the future. Yeah.
It just surprises me how, people that have that much time on their hands, like that's their goal in life, is to show up in other people's Zoom meetings. And I mean, I'm like, wow, okay. Oh, so unfortunate. Let's see. Myra asked about pictures in how to put like a picture for your Zoom profile. So that's just any pictures you might have on your computer, like on your hard drive on your computer. You can access any of those. So how would you access them? So let's see. I hope I don't regret this. Let's see here. So if I go to, again, profile, and then if I wanted to change my picture, So it's going to open up my Finder. So it's going to look different if you have a PC, but then I can scroll through all of my files on my computer and look for another picture to change it to that. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that help, Myra? So anything that's on your computer already, you have the ability to search for it and to upload it into Zoom as your profile picture. I think I saw David start to say something. Yeah.
Question, something that seems to come up pretty frequently in groups is the save chat function, which I don't have on my platform, but maybe it would be helpful for you to demonstrate the save chat function in case others aren't familiar with it.
Yes, so save chat. One little caveat about that is when we're talking about support groups, we don't want to record our support groups, right? So another aspect of that is the chat. So a lot of times people, they're not going to write something super personal in a chat, anything like that. But we just in general, it's kind of good practice to not save the chats from a support group meeting. So I take part in a few different meetings, and sometimes we put links in the chat that are helpful that people can access later. So you, as a member, a group member, you see my mouse over here, say this message was a link. I could highlight that and then copy it and then paste it into a browser if I wanted to save something specifically. Sometimes the group leaders will highlight the whole chat and then extract important Zoom links and send them via email to the whole group so people can follow up later. That's another option, but in general, saving a chat is not something we want to do for privacy purposes. Yeah, so do you see this, right? So if I go down here and if it was an NLO program, something that's public, then I could go down here, the ellipsis menu on the right-hand side of the chat. That pulls up a sub-menu here and save chat. You click on that and then it gets saved to your computer. Okay. All right, what else?
Shannon, I know we only have a few minutes left, so I'm getting a lot of questions about like, how do I get an account? So can you review like kind of the next steps, like what you'll be sending out, what they should do in order to get, their Zoom link set up?
Absolutely. So the best thing to do is to email us, us meaning Trang and myself, at insync@pmdalliance.org and say, I would love to get signed up. Okay. I would love to get signed up for the pro account. Once we hear from you, I will turn around and then send a list of the information that we need. So that includes your name, your co-hosts' names, the email addresses of everyone, where your group is located. Very importantly, what is your 1.5 hour time slot that you would like? Tuesday from 10 to 11:30 could be. So you would have the same time slot available every Tuesday. You don't have to use it every Tuesday, but it's available to you. We'll also in that email send you the PDF, the fillable PDF. We call it the Support Group Leader Online Agreement. And then you find the fillable blanks asking for your information, your name, electronically sign it at the bottom. So you can type your name in, the date, save it to your computer with a different name so you don't get confused. And that way, when you email us back with all of your information, you can attach that signed agreement to us. And then boom, we can get that processed within a few days. Is that pretty clear, everybody? Great. What else? Anything that I missed, Trang, in the chat?
Shannon, are you going to talk about breakout rooms?
Breakout rooms, I have a special training on that next Monday. So Same time, same place. I'm going to be figuring that out this week. So I'm going to be using this sort of functionality of showing you what it looks like from the host perspective. So breakout rooms you'll see as an option on my host capabilities, but you as participants, even the co-hosts, so Trang and David, who I made co-hosts, they are not able to do the breakout rooms. It's just the host. So you can see this is just the beginnings of it, but I'll go through that in more depth next week. So hopefully you can make that. We record each of these little trainings, so in case you do miss it in real time, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Yes.
One question that came up that I thought was helpful to mention, if you want to practice before your actual meeting, one thing you can do is, let's say we get you all set up and ready to go for this Friday. Maybe you use this Friday as just a practice with your co-host on how to claim host, get familiar with the Zoom settings, and then actually next Friday will be your first official meeting with your group. Maybe give yourself that little buffer so that you can practice. The other thing you could do is reach out to us if that's not an option, and we can let you know when the room would be available if you need to practice. That's a little bit trickier because then we'll have to schedule you around other group members or other groups that might be meeting. So just some things for you to think through as you're figuring out how you want to meet and how often.
Thanks, Trang. One more question from Myra.
Should we put down several co-hosts depending, because sometimes someone would be able to be there and another time someone else would be able to be there. So how many names should we put there?
Well, I would say two other co-hosts on top of yourself would be great. If you had 3, that's fine too. You don't need a ton, just enough to cover yourself. And what's nice is that we like to have co-host names just in case, but if you're the host and everyone has the access information, the meeting link and the passcode, then even if someone wasn't on your paper officially as a co-host, you could still assign them co-host capabilities once you're in your meeting, if that makes sense. So don't feel like you're stuck to it. We just like to have a few people from each group and their contact info.
Shannon?
Yes, Debbie.
But I just comment being is we found it very important not to hand out the co-host passcode because of security issues. And so we've been really firm about that because a lot of times when we have a speaker, we can let them in as host and co-host.
Correct.
I think you should touch on that very importantly because a lot of times people come to us who want to do a meeting. We vet every person who does a meeting for us. So there's not any surprises. And that's why I think the importance of keeping the passcode at the host and co-host level is so important.
Correct. Yes, very good point, Debbie. So we would never want to, like social media, post our Zoom link and then the passcode. We want to keep it very limited and safe with our mailing lists. Anyone who's on our mailing list can receive those 2 pieces of information. And then the host code, that third piece, is really just for the smallest, the top people of that group, the host, and then maybe 1 or 2 other people who might have that information just in case. So the host code is the most protected, but then the passcode we want to keep an eye on as well, because we don't want that getting around to people who don't belong. Very good point.
So if we had speakers, they would be, what would we determine they are so that they can show their slides?
So all they would need is what any group member would need, which is the Zoom link and then the passcode to get in. And once they are in, then you have this capability. I'm going to show you again. So say Bob in Winter Haven, he's my guest speaker for the day. I'm going to go to his name, go to more, and then I'm going to make him a co-host. So I have that capability as host to do that.
And then he can show his slides
Exactly.
Sorry.
if he knows how to show his slides.
That's a whole other thing, isn't it?
All about
Yeah.
Let's go to the chat room.
Right, right. Okay, everyone, we're a few minutes over. Lots of great questions. Thank you for coming today, and I hope that you continue to come to our trainings. I'm going back and forth between the more basic things like this one, and the next week, the breakout rooms. To me, it's a little bit more of an advanced feature, and so if the basics are you're still getting to know them, maybe the breakout rooms, you're not quite ready for it. Or if you just want to come and observe and then just start to take in information and then use them later, totally fine as well. But just wanted to let you know that's happening. And I will continue to add in more trainings for both newbies and those who have been doing this for a few months. So I'm kind of going back and forth between those. And then I'm also peppering in those roundtables that we'd like to do about once a month. And that's a chance for you all to talk to one another and to brainstorm, come up with ideas, that sort of thing. So the next two Mondays, next week is going to be the 9th of November. That's going to be breakout rooms. The following Monday, I believe, is the 16th. And that is going to be another roundtable. Okay. I still, so Trang, I need to make an Asana board for that so we can get registration up and running for the roundtable. And I think that's about it, everyone. So thank you all again for coming and hope to see you on another Monday.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye there. See ya.
Oh.